Okay, welcome back to the series of videos that we have started not quite long. In this video, we are going to talk about how we can submit the HTML form to MySQL database using the PHP script. My name is Iyiola Clinton Omotayo. And the list of objectives, how do we achieve that? We are going to post the form, the field, the data in that form field. We are going to post them to PHP, and we are going to connect PHP to MySQL first. Then we are going to insert the data that has been posted from HTML to PHP. Now PHP is going to take them down to the table MySQL database and locate the appropriate table. So the process is not that difficult, but we have to follow the process one after the other. Okay, let's go back to our Sublime. We have this form up and running, just like what we have here. The next thing we want to do is to post the form data to PHP. How do we do that? And we may have to create another file, a new file, and we save it as, click on save as, then I call it process.php. It's process.php because it's going to be the script that will process all that we have in the form here. So how do we go about that? When you are submitting your form, there are two methods. There are two methods to submit form. The default method is called get. Okay, it's called get. How does get work? When you submit, the other time we submitted, you discovered that the values that were submitted were added to the address bar. You can see full name, Iyiola Omotayo Clinton, email, everything we typed in here had to be part of the URL. And the reason is because we, at default, if we do not specify any method here, the default is get. But in this case, we don't want people to see what we have typed, so we have to use the post method, not get. We have to use the post and not get. So we don't want all that we type to show on the address bar. So I would encourage us to use a post for that method. Another thing is the action. The action talks about where the form will be processed. Now we have process.php here. This is where we want the form to be processed. So the action has to be process.php. So that's where we're going to submit all of our values to for processing. Okay, if this particular page is going to have the PHP script that's going to process, then we might as well leave it as blank. So when you leave it this way, it shows that the content, the script that's going to process this form is resided inside of this file, so it's going nowhere. But we want to make it a separate file so that we will not have reasons to mix up anything. Okay, now we have the process. How do we confirm that when we submit here it gets to this point? Okay, let's go to process.php. To start writing your code in PHP, you must first open with this, and you are going to close with this. So let's move on. We have to get like the first thing we have to do is to post all the form to PHP. So how do we do that? We use the where's Sublime? Sorry about that. Okay, now I'm going to pick. Now I've attached a name to every of the field. We have the full name, email, phone, and matric number. This guy is going to get them all. How does he get them all? You get them all through the post method. So we have post. The first we are posting should be a full name. So we're going to put it that way. Full name. And we shall assign this to a variable called full name, which is equal to whatever has been posted from the index.html file. So we do the same for email. You can say this is email assigned to the posted variable, okay, email, and we end it with a semicolon. Next is a phone, and it's going to be equal to what we post from there. Excuse me. Phone, okay, and the last should be the matric number, and we're also posting the value from the index.html. But we need to be very sure that we are doing the right thing. So let me just double check. This is full name, email, phone, and matric number. So we have full name, email, phone, and matric number. Now we have all this posted to PHP. How do we know that we have posted this variable successfully? Let's do it. Let's do something. Let's echo the variables that are here. Let's echo. Let's say, okay, the values from index page are as follows. So in this case, we want to just be sure that all that we posted reach the process.php. So the first is the full name, full name, full name. Then the next is email. Okay. The next is phone. I like Sublime. It just auto suggests to you what you're meant to type. And the last is matric number. So let's not go too far. Let's try and check if all that we submit from here are actually processed by the process.php. So when you click on submit, it goes to process.php and posts all of this to process.php. So let's go back to our form, and we say localhost slash my app. So we have a clean form. Let's fill the form now. Iyiola Clinton Omotayo. Omotayo Clinton. Then email is this, and the phone number is 080. Okay, let's just say +234, and this, and the matric number is the DE. So now we want to submit. Click on submit form. Great. The values from index page are as follows: Iyiola Omotayo Clinton, Clinton2@yahoo.ca, the phone number, and the matric number. So we can say that we have successfully posted those values to the page. The process.php has successfully received all that we have posted. But this is just one out of the 3 procedures. The posting of the form data to PHP is successful. The next we are going to do is to connect PHP to MySQL. Yes, there must be handshake between PHP and MySQL before we can insert those data into MySQL. So how do we go about that? Now, how do we go about connecting PHP to MySQL? To connect to MySQL, we can use any of the three methods. The first method is the MySQL I object oriented. When you say MySQL I, it means MySQL improved. It's for PHP 7 version. And we can also use, like I mentioned, MySQL I object oriented. We can also use MySQL I procedural. And lastly, we can use the PDO. So in this tutorial, we are going to make use of MySQL I object oriented. Now, after having successfully posted all of our values, then we can just comment this out because we are very sure that our values have got to this point. So the next thing is we want to connect to the database. This guy we're connected to this guy. There's a database. So remember, this is a local host. The name of this database is called localhost, and the account that we're using right away is called root. And remember, I told you in the previous video that there is no password for the root. When you install the XAMPP for the first time, you are expected to change the password. But when we installed, we got to this point without any issues. So it means that the password is empty. So that means we are going to stick to that. So the root, the name of the server is localhost. The username is root, while the password is empty, is no password. So those are the things that we are going to use as our variables. Then we have the database that we created. Remember, we created database called school. So let's go to our Sublime and create our connection. First and foremost, let's get our server name, which is equal to I mentioned it the other time. The server name is the local host. Okay, then we also have the username. Username is equal to root. Don't forget to end everything with a semicolon. Then the password equals to basically is empty, so it's nothing a password. And our DB name, let's say DB name. What's our DB name? Let's confirm the DB name. Okay, our DB name is called database school. So school. So let us check if before we spend time doing so many other things, I think we should at every point debug our codes to know where if we are actually doing something or not. So we want to know, are we actually connecting to the database or not? So how do we do that? Okay, the connections for the object oriented equals you say new and my SQL I underscore. Okay, it's new MySQL I. Then you're going to have all the variables inside of it. You start with the server name. You put a comma. Then next is the username. You put a comma. Next is the password. Put a comma. Then finally we have the database name. Okay, we have the database name, DB name. And like I told you, remember, you always end with a semicolon. So that's the connection. So let's see, we have to probably check the connection if the parameters are correct or wrong. So it's going to be an if statement. If the connection if the connection comes with a connect error, okay, if its connection comes with a connect error, then you should do something by saying die connection failed. What does this mean? It means that if this particular connection comes with error, we call it connect underscore error, you should echo this to us. You should tell us, oh boy, connection failed, so that we know where the shoe pinches. So we can have it that way. Okay, that connection failed, and you also show us what actually happened. So how do we know what actually happened? We're still going to call our connection back and put the particular connect error that we faced. So this line is very simple. What it says is that if by the time you are connecting you come across a connection error, echo to us that connection failed and tell us the nature of the error. So let's save this and let's now say else. If the connection does not come with error, I think you should echo db connection successful. Okay, to tell us the db connection successful. All right, so of course we must finish that with a. So we're going to run this case. We are going to test run the scenario. Let's load the go back to the index application form. Now let's fill the form once again. This matric number, and I click on submit form. Wow, you can see DB connection successful. That means that the parameters we use are actually correct. Now I want to create a form of intentional human error. I told you that we do not have password for it. So let me just create a password that does not really exist on it. And let's see if it's going to still tell us the DB connection successful, or it's going to echo this connection failed. So let's go back, click on the back button and refresh the page, then fill the form once again. Okay, phone number and this, and click on submit form. Wow, there is an issue here. You can see access denied for users. Now this is connection failed, and we said okay, after the connection failed, what exactly is the error? Now it says access denied for user root at localhost using password. Yes, that means we're not expecting a password, but the user used a password. So, and from here it's going to tell us where exactly, what line on the process.php does the error come from, which is line 15. Let's go to line 15. You can see exactly it's line 15. This guy is trying to connect with wrong details. That's why we have the error. So let's revert back to the correct password and reload. Okay, let's reload. Click on bring them back once again. Bring them back. Bring them back. And we click on submit more form. Wow, great. Our DB connection is successful. So I would rather suggest that we continue in the next video inserting the data to MySQL, so that this video will not be unnecessarily long. So we've been able to achieve the posting of the form data to PHP, and that's why we have all this data here. and also we're able to achieve the PHP connection to MySQL. In the next video, we shall be inserting the data into MySQL. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Iyiola Omotayo. You can contact me on the website omotayoiyiola.com.ng, on my Facebook page facebook.com/omotayoiyiola. Omotayo E. See you next time.